Okay, this is somebody that has heard me tell stories. So somebody somewhere has heard me tell the legendary stories where I showed up on planets to see if I would be loved and worshipped as a nothing. So as a mother queen dead god, I was abused and mistreated on this planet and nothing else by countries and more. So I was on a mission to go to other planets, other areas, and see how they would treat me as a dead god nothing. So I went to other planets and I would hold out a sign that says whatever I wanted to say. I am truly a dead god. Do you want to believe in me and build something? I'm truly nothing today, but swear I am the reality of many gods. Would you like to believe in me and build whatever it was I want to build? Or I would just hold a sign saying weird, bizarre things. And sometimes I wouldn't even say I was a god. I would just say something about the beauty of things, the death or life or suffering of things. And I would hold out a billion signs like homeless nobody, or just sit and wait till some businessman or eccentric person said, well, I'll believe in you and I'll invest in you, and I don't know if it's real, but I'll go ahead and go for it. There was also a man that owned an empire. So there was a man that was kind of like a Willy Wonka guy. He was a very eccentric, you would think he might be borderline insane. He was a way out there guy. But like Einstein, he was just really, really, really smart. And he was so smart, he was just way out there, and he owned an empire. And it was in the planet of the great god, Zindai. And I went out there as a nothing, and I held a sign. And the sign said, I think I'm something, but I'm treated like I'm nothing. Would anybody believe in me? And I sat there with that sign, asking if anybody would believe in me over and over and over. And a bunch of people laughed. A bunch of people tried to tell me that anybody is as important as they are. You know, I got all the weird answers, or the bizarre answers, or the laughing answers. And that Willy Wonka giant empire guy walked up and had a weird conversation with me. He said, well, we all are. And I said, well, that's true, in the sum total of who and what we really are. And he said, why, I agree. And he said, the beauty of life is like a puzzle. It's like a destiny. It's like a weird conundrum that you float through to try to figure it out. And I said, well, a billion philosophies and more could completely relate to you on that one. And he said, well, but what are you trying to say? And I said, well, I'm trying to say that if someone believed in me, I could get anywhere, and so could they. And I'm seeing if anybody would. And he said, And then he said, but if you believe in everyone, everywhere, some will let you down, some will disappoint you. Some just want to take whatever you offer. But some might be an amazing gift. How do I know which one you are? And I said, well, that is the fun of the gift of decision and choice. And of course, can't tell you how to choose. And he said, And then he asked me the weirdest thing. If I went down the road and I picked up a blue golden square, what would you say? I'd say, wow, that sounds really pretty. And he said, And then he said, if I went down the road further and I felt like I could feel existence, what would you say I am? And I said, probably a really powerful thing that can have a lot of spiritual powers or a lot of really amazing insights. And I said, And then he said, if I went to nowhere, where was I really going? And I said, well, it would depend on the intelligence, the spirituality, or the mentality of where you thought you wanted to be. And he said, bingo, I like that answer. So he said, okay, I'm willing to do this. Now, what are we going to do? What are we going to build? What are we going to do? And as of today, if you want to think or say my queen, my queen, my queen, he still has his very own empire. That's his own respect and honor and what he built. But he and I built an entire area that is a country equivalent together. So he had an empire. It was like a little city, or like a little beautiful city empire he had built, where like the whole city belonged to him. And now we have like a country equivalent that belongs to us. You know, sometimes God doesn't care and doesn't want you to go anywhere or have anything, because you didn't want God to go anywhere or have anything. And that's how life should be. Amen. Let's just play this game of the end of the world of life. Let's watch people get what they deserve. It's the beauty of God.